I'm gonna tell you right now, before I start anything, I have recorded this already 3 times on my camera, on this freaking camera. And I got this camera solely for the fact that this is, what is this? A Sony A600, 6000. Solely got this camera and held onto this camera for wanting to record on this, right? And wanting to record videos on this. And I tried to record on this 3 times already, and every single time something has happened. Audio is bad. I bought a mic to fix that, and then I was recording with it and it was going fine, and then it just cut off on me halfway through. And then the battery kept dying. Like I would charge it overnight and it died like instantly. I don't know, but I got really tired of this and it was really discouraging, but I refused to not make this video because of this. So we're gonna do it on my phone. I don't know if the quality is shit. I don't know if the audio is shit. So if it is, I'm sorry. But yeah, we just had to get that out the way. My name's Leilani, but you could just call me Lay, because apparently my name is hard to say. So yeah. June of this year, I actually graduated high school, meaning it's been, I want to say like 3 months? I don't know, 3-ish months since I've officially been out of school. Thank God. But that also means that I've had these 2-3 months to sit back and kind of think about what I want for my future, and also to sit back and reflect on everything that has happened to me in my past. And thinking about like what I want for my future has been so terrifying to me, solely for the fact that, you know, so while thinking about like what I want for my future, it's really hit me the fact that this is like really terrifying. It's just so odd to me, the fact that we've gone our entire lives being told where to go, what to do, how to do it, when to do it, where to do it, and all of a sudden you graduate and they just kind of drop you into like the adult world, and they're like, figure it out, and whatever happens, it happens. And it's so scary, the fact that like me as an 18-year-old now, I could easily make a bad decision that will affect me the rest of my life, and something about that is just so terrifying to me. When it comes to school, they always say like, oh, we're teaching you for the real world, but like, let's all be honest, no, they're not. They're really not. Like, I don't really know anything like important to life. Don't know how to pay taxes, don't really know how to pay bills, don't know a whole bunch of like laws that are like necessary to know. There's a lot of things that you don't know that are needed more than like E = MC squared, you know? Like, it's so weird. The whole thing is just so weird. The fact that they could teach you that before teaching you about like bills and taxes and everything. The whole thing about looking into my future and thinking about what I want to do for my future has been terrifying and stressful on its own. But also with this time being home, not doing anything over the summer, I've really also just been sitting back and thinking about my past and thinking about my childhood and everything that's happened to me, you know, before this moment right now. Also with thinking about like my future and everything that I want, I've really realized that, you know, to look into your future, you kind of have to also reflect on your past. Reflect on the things that you don't want there and things that have kind of molded you into the person that you are. It's really interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't do that when they get out of high school. Like, I know a lot of my friends, or just like people that I know from high school, they just kind of jump into, you know, I want to go to college and I want to, you know, do X, Y, and Z and get into this career, but nobody ever really stops to take the time and like reflect and think about stuff, which like they don't have to, but I'm saying like for me, I feel like I really need to in order to move on. Everyone kind of talks about how like high school is kind of like that biggest time of your life growing up. High school is always where like the prom and the drama and the excitement of, you know, this is it, this is the last hoorah of school, you know, last 4 years. And honestly, like my whole childhood, I always pictured high school being this really fun experience. I always pictured high school like with me and all my childhood friends always hanging out pretty much every single night, and me being on the volleyball team and being in the advanced art program. And, you know, just little things like that, probably good grades and everything. And my biggest thing was always that I figured I would always be graduating alongside not only like all my closest friends, but also just everybody that I grew up with and everybody that I knew. And I pictured high school going a lot differently than it did. Basically, I just pictured high school being a lot different than it actually was. And it was something that I really had to face. It was a hard challenge in itself, but it also came with a lot of different other obstacles. And I know that may sound dramatic, but I will talk about all the other shit that happened while I was in high school. But yeah, I just feel like I really wanted to take this moment to talk about everything that's kind of happened and everything that happened to me in high school and my high school experience. And I want to use this as a way to kind of let it all out so that I can put that fully behind me and move into my future. So getting into my high school experience, it was definitely interesting, to say the least. The summer right before freshman year, I actually moved from my hometown into the city, which was a completely different change. My hometown was very much more suburban, like you could walk in the middle of the street and not even worry about getting hit by a car. Meanwhile here, you can walk on the sidewalk and still have to make sure that you don't get hit by a car. It's definitely very different than what I was used to. It's a lot quicker pace, a lot more happening, a lot more people. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really have an issue with moving. My biggest thing was just the fact that I don't know anybody here, and all my friends and everyone that I grew up with were over there, and I was very comfortable with where I was. But you know, at the end of the day, we were going to have a change one way or another. So I am kind of happy that the change was moving into this area, because I do like this area and I do really like having a lot of people around. You know, I kind of like the quick-paced nature of the city, so it works for me. So freshman year kind of started off, I don't want to say on a bad foot, but it was definitely a telltale sign that it just wasn't gonna go well. Like I said, we moved the summer of freshman year, so pretty much like August we were like fully settled into this apartment. So around August, I think it was like the second week of August, we ended up transferring. We had to go to the school and transfer all my stuff from my old school into this new school, and we did it ahead of time just to make sure that like we would have our schedule and the uniform and everything ready for when we get back to school. We did what we had to, and once we got it to the school, it was basically in the school's hands. There's nothing else we can do other than wait. And the lady that was working in the office told us that I would probably get my schedule the week before school started. And she was like, yeah, you'll get it the week before school starts, and you'll be able to kind of get assessed with it, because they have this thing that's like 2 days before school. They let you go into the school so you can kind of see the school and, you know, see the classes that you're in with your schedule. So whatever, we were waiting, and we waited an entire week and nothing. So that whole week before school, we kept checking the mails, checking the online schedules, and nothing. Never got anything from the school or from the website that gives out like the schedules. I forget what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. My mom ended up calling the school and asking the lady in the office, like, you know, we transferred her over to this school, we're waiting for her schedule, but you told us it would be here the week before school. School's literally like 2 days away. What's up? What's going on, right? And they had a long conversation, but essentially what the lady said was, oops, we forgot. Like literally, like she was just like, oh, we forgot to make a schedule. And I was like, oh, that's great. So she said that they will get on top of making a schedule, and that they'll try and get it in the day of the first day of school so that I can come in and get my schedule. And long story short, I didn't come into school like a week later. Like the second week of school is when I came in, because they hadn't made my schedule. So that was already like really annoying and frustrating. But then we get to like my actual first day of school. oof, which just set me up for having a really bad time in this school. So I finally get my schedule and I go into school and I'm like, you know, I'm excited just because it's a new school, new people, whatever. There was only one issue when it came to actually getting my schedule. I ended up going to school, but the thing was that the night before I had realized that my schedule was messed up. I was supposed to be in the art program and I was supposed to have my first year of Spanish, so Spanish 1, my freshman year. And we had told the lady that in the office, and the lady that does the schedules, we told them about that. And they said that they would make sure that, you know, it goes through to my schedule, but it wasn't. So I thought that it was just like a mess up or whatever. So, first day of school, first thing that I did, I went to my counselor. Worst decision I've ever made in my life. One thing about the school and the people that work in the school, everyone has an attitude and I don't understand why. Like, especially with me, I'm not confrontational. I wasn't really coming in with an attitude like, you messed up my schedule and I had to wait a whole week for the schedule and someone needs to fix this. Like, I wasn't like that. I came in, first thing was that I came into the office and I asked the lady in the office, like, hey, I need to check with somebody about my schedule. I think it got messed up or maybe mixed up or something, so I wanted to know who I could talk to. The lady had an issue because apparently they have this thing that you can only change your schedule the first week of school. And I was trying to explain to her, like, yeah, I get that, but, you know, I wasn't here the first week of school. They didn't make me my schedule. She didn't let me talk. She kept interrupting me. And then she was like, well, if you really want to try, go to your counselor. And I was like, oh, okay, where's the counselor's office? And she was like, it's down the hall all the way at the end. So whatever, I was like, okay, have a good day. She ignored me. I was like, nice. So I ended up going to the counselor, and again, I'm new here. I had no clue who my counselor was. I just thought that it was, you know, go to the counselor and there was one office and one counselor that she directed me to, but it was the office of all the counselors, so every counselor was there. I didn't know who the hell my counselor was, so I ended up going to the first door, and the guy was like, no, I'm not your counselor, and he checked because it's by last names. So he checked and he was like, oh, this is your counselor, go over to this door, knock on it, she should be there. So fine, whatever, I ended up going. I think this was the only time I actually voluntarily ever went to my counselor. Every other time it's been because she called me or because the teacher forced me to have to go to my counselor. I went in and she told me to come in. Like, I knocked on the door and she told me to come in, so I went in, obviously. And right away, I opened the door and she goes, what do you want now? And I was like, what do you mean, what do you want now? This is my first time here. But, you know, I didn't say that. I was just thinking that. But I told her, like, everything that was happening with my schedule. And she had such an attitude. She went on this, like, little rant about how classes don't have to be changed. Why are you trying to change your class? Kids are always trying to change their class, whatever, whatever. And, you know, again, I'm not confrontational, so she's just ranting and kind of, like, getting all aggressive. Like, she was slamming papers and flipping through things mad aggressively, and I was just kind of sitting there in front of her like, I don't know what you want me to do. You know, I wasn't the one who messed up the schedule. It's not my fault. And she just had such an attitude, and I had asked her if she can try and change it. She gave me a whole bunch of stuff about how I'm not able to go into the art program, which I didn't understand because I had shown my art portfolio from previous years. And I was already in the art program in my old school, so I don't know why I wasn't able to be transferred. But every time I asked, she just said, oh, because you can't. And I was like, it's not a reason though. I want a reason to why I can't. Whatever. And the whole thing was Spanish 1. She said that that was a mistake, that I was supposed to have Spanish 1, but all the Spanish 1 classes are taken, like they're full, so I can't join that year. So I had to do it the following year. So after all that, she basically just got to a point where she was like, okay, leave my office. I can't do anything about your schedule, which was really aggravating, but whatever. I was in her office for probably like 15-20 minutes. And I was so done with it that I was like, okay, whatever, and I left. So then, the rest of my day was just trying to kind of find classes and deal with really annoying teachers. But you know, the rest of the day was just kind of whatever. I was by myself all day because I didn't know anybody, and I had lunch by myself, but I watched some anime during my lunch period, so I really didn't care. So then I was kind of tired of the day. You know, I had classes I did not enjoy, teachers that were extremely rude, that whole thing that happened with my counselor the very first second that I get into the doors. I was really done. So at the end of the day, I had gym my last period, and you know, in gym they line you up in rows so that they can make it easier to like count how many people are here, who's absent, whatever. And I was talking to the gym teacher, and I was just telling him like, yeah, I'm new, where do I sit, da-da-da, what do I need? And he was just explaining to me where I sit, how the rows work, and what I need to be wearing for gym. And all of a sudden I feel this just gust of air. It was literally just like whoosh, in my face, and a loud bang. That was the next thing that I heard. It was like whoosh, boom, and it was so loud it literally echoed in the gym. And obviously I quickly looked because I heard a bang and I felt air. I look over, and all of a sudden I see particles, like spackle, like ceiling particles, just down, dust or whatever. And I look down, and there's this panel that's probably like, it's not like a little tile, like a little, you know, ceiling tile like this big. It's like, it's huge. It's a huge freaking panel, probably the size of my torso, right? And it fell from the ceiling. Nobody was doing anything. You know, if it was hit with like a soccer ball or a volleyball, then I'd be like, okay, it got hit, it fell down, whatever. It literally just fell. Everybody was sitting in their rows. Nobody was doing anything. It just fell. And I looked at the teacher and I was like, oh, the panel just fell, you know? Like, I was freaked out. I was like, the panel just fell out of nowhere. And he just looked at it. He looked at me and he was like, oh yeah, that happens from time to time. And he took it and he pulled it to the side, and I was like, yeah, that happens sometimes. You shouldn't you be worried? Shouldn't you want to get that fixed? You know, especially in a gym where, like, you know, gym class is always massive because it's a huge gym. Like, shouldn't you be concerned, like, oh, these panels just keep falling out of nowhere, maybe I should get it fixed or something before a kid gets freaking hit in the head with it? Because it hit hard. It was a ceiling panel. I don't know what it was made out of, but it was definitely some hard material, because when it hit, it was like boom, and it echoed. Like, someone gets hit with that and that thing falls on them, they probably won't get like massively hurt, but they're definitely gonna get hurt. Like, wouldn't you want to avoid that altogether? And I'm gonna tell you right now, probably 3 or 4 more panels that entire school year fell in the gym unprovoked. Again, everyone was just so casual about it, and it was even to the point that by the time I got to like the 3rd or 4th panel falling out of nowhere, even I got used to it. I was like, Jesus Christ. That was my entire first day of freshman year. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I feel like there was just something in the air, something that was just trying to tell me to prepare myself for what was to come in this school, because oh my god, everything happened all at once, and it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. And then another thing that happened freshman year, that again I'm telling you, like, oh my god, the teachers and the staff and like the security, everyone just always had such a bad attitude, such a negative attitude. And it was just so obnoxious. So then another thing that ended up happening, I think later that week, I was told I had to get IDs, like a school ID. So whatever, I got my very first school ID that week, and then a couple weeks later I accidentally lost it and I didn't know where it was. I think I found it like a month later in the gym. But yeah, I ended up losing it and I had to go get a new one. First off, everyone kept telling me you need to have an ID on you at all times. You're gonna be checked if you have your ID on you. I've never been checked. I've never needed it for like lunch. I never needed it for the library. I never used the ID card, ever. So I really don't understand why everyone was making such a big deal that I needed to get an ID card when I was never gonna be checked if I had the ID card or not. But you know, everyone made a big deal, and I was like panicked because I was like, oh shit, I just lost my ID. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Da da da. So I ended up going back to the lady in the office. You know, I asked her if I could get a new ID. I lost it. She went on a whole rant. Oh my god, these kids, they're so irresponsible. Da da da. And I'm just standing there, like, okay, where can I get a new ID? Like, that's all I asked you. And she ended up telling me that I could go to the lady. There's like another door around the office, not the counselor's door, but in between that, there's somebody that did IDs and things like that. So she told me to go to her. So I was like, okay, is she here today? Yes, whatever, goodbye. So I went, and the second that I walked in, she had such an attitude. I knocked on the door, and I guess she thought that I was like another teacher or something, or maybe like a counselor or whatever. And she was all nicey, come in. Like, so nice about it. And the second that I opened the door and she saw me, she was eating. I think I went during like her lunch period or whatever. She was eating, and she looked at me and she went, ugh, boom, and like threw like the Tupperware? Is it with a B or a P? Tupperware? I don't know. She threw her plate thing on the table. And she looked at me, she literally leaned back like this, and she was like, what do you want? And I told her about losing my ID and that I needed a new one. And she was like, you cannot be kidding me. You kids keep losing your IDs and you keep coming to me. And she went on this whole rant about like, oh, why do you have to keep coming to me? Why do you have to come to me at this time? Da-da. What do I have to do with you losing your ID? Go find your ID. And in my head, I'm like, but you're the person that makes IDs. So that's why everyone's coming to you, for you to make a new ID for them. So it's literally your job. You are the person that makes IDs for everybody. Like, I'm sorry that we need an ID and we come to the person who makes IDs. So yeah, she kept ranting, and then once she finally finished, she asked me my name, my email address, my username, address, and all that stuff. And then she had it all set up on the table, and she was like, okay, but if I print this, it's a $10 fee. And I was like, oh, why didn't you tell me that before you started ranting? So I told her, and I was like, oh, well, I don't have $10 on me right now. Do you think I could just you know, get it printed, and then tomorrow morning I have to walk past the office anyway, I'll come over and I'll drop off the $10. She was like, no, if you don't have the $10, I can't print it for you. So I was like, okay, are you gonna be here tomorrow morning? And she was like, yeah, obviously. Okay, so I'll come tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning. And I told her, first thing in the morning I'll be here. She was like, okay, then come with the $10. And I was like, okay, I will. It was getting me so mad. So I ended up leaving, and then the next day I asked my dad for $10 to get the ID. Gave me the $10, went to school. First thing in the morning, she's not there. So I was like, okay, fine. I ended up coming back after the first period. First thing in the morning, after the first period. After my third period, during my lunch, during gym, and then again after after school. Yeah, after the last period, after the last bell rings. Wasn't there at all. Even though she obviously was gonna be there. So I ended up going back every single day, waiting for her, and every single time she was doing something, she was too busy. She would literally tell me like, oh, I can't do this right now, I'm too busy. So I'd be like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. She either wasn't there at all, and I waited probably like a week and a half to get a new ID, and came every single day, and there was always some sort of excuse on why she couldn't do it. Either she wasn't there, or she was too busy, or whatever. And by the time I actually did get the ID done, finally she gave me the time of day. Finally she was like, okay, come over here, get your picture taken, whatever. She did it. She gave me the ID. So then I went to go take the ID, and I gave her the $10. You know, she looked at me and she was like, keep it, just go to class. I was like, so I could have had my ID a week and a half ago? when I asked for the ID, but you told me I needed the $10. I bring you the $10 and you're not even gonna take my $10? Yo, I was so heated that I had to call my dad, and I was like ranting to him during my lunch period because I was so heated. Like, she made me wait all this time for the $10 she swore that she needed. I finally get her the $10 and she's like, "Oh no, I don't need it, just get out." Oh, this was all just like the first few weeks, probably like the first month and a half of my freshman year. And so many things like that just kept happening. Like, teachers would have attitudes. um the school, I realized, was just really unorganized. They would say one day we were doing something and then the next we weren't. And I'm gonna be honest, like, it really felt like a lot of teachers just didn't fully care, which sucks because, like, if you're gonna be a teacher and you're gonna be around kids all the time teaching them, you should care, but it was always just like, here's the notes, take your notes, go do your work. And for the most part, like, I would go to them for help and they'd be like, "Oh, well, ask the person next to you." And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to ask the person next to me. I want to ask you because you're the teacher and you know what you're talking about." And then I would always get into a whole back and forth about, like, the teacher telling me to go to them, and I'm like, "But I don't want to. I want to ask you about it because you should know what we are talking about," and a whole bunch of other stuff. And let me just tell you something right now. Like, I was a pretty good student. I've never been like an A+ student. Do not think that I was ever an A+ student. I was barely an A student, okay? But I at least had like B's and C's in my classes. And if I ever went lower than a C, I would always make sure it was brought back up. And it always was. But I'm gonna be so honest, like, the attitude of the teachers, the lack of care, like, teachers would literally let you be on your phone. So many kids were like on FaceTime with each other in the middle of class talking, no headphones. Teachers wouldn't say anything. They just didn't care, and they didn't even like try to show that they cared or even act like they cared. And everything was just such a negative energy. Everything was so negative. It was always like we had this whole my senior year, we had this whole what do they call it, like orientation, where they like bring everyone to the auditorium and they have somebody talking or whatever. We had that in the beginning of the year for all the seniors, and it was to hype us up. You have prom this year and the senior trip and whatever. And the first thing that the guy said when he got onto the microphone was, there's let's say like 500 seniors. There's 500 seniors in this class of graduates, and probably only 200 of you will actually graduate. The other will fail and not be able to graduate on time, if they're able to graduate at all. I'm like, why would that be the first thing that you want to bring up to us? Why would you want to, the first thing when we're in our senior year, first thing that you tell us is the fact that majority of us aren't gonna make it? Shouldn't you be hyping us up? Shouldn't you be getting us pumped and ready and be like, hunker down, this is the end, like, just bulldoze right through it and make sure that you never have to do this again? Shouldn't that be the talk? Not, oh yeah, there's 500 of you, but more than half will be gone by the time we get to graduation. Like, it's things like that that were just always said between like staff and like students. It was always comments like that. It was always like the most negative type of comments, and it was hard and it was annoying, honestly, because you try so hard to be positive in these things, but then you have teachers and staff telling you the most negative shit, and it's like, I don't know how to be positive after that. I don't know how to pick myself back up to be at a good level again, because again, I used to have B's and C's. All of a sudden I had D's, I had F's, C's. Like, I rarely ever saw a B or an A unless it was a history class or an art class, okay? It was really just a negative space and negative energy throughout all 4 years, really, of high school. And there was pretty much nothing that you could do about it. Really. you know, online everyone's like, oh, you need to romanticize school and you need to romanticize getting good grades and being in school and studying, you know? But at the end of the day, like, how do you romanticize something when everybody who's supposed to be helping you to graduate and helping you be educated are telling you, like, oh no, you're lazy, you don't try hard enough, you don't work hard enough, you're not as good as the other students, why aren't you understanding this, you're a moron for not understanding these simple notes. And it's like, it's discouraging, it's really discouraging, and it leaves you feeling like defeated. Like, teachers will tell you all the time those things, and then it just leaves you wanting to just give up, because it's like, oh well, I'm trying my absolute hardest. Like, there were so many times where I was studying and trying to get myself ready for tests till like midnight, and then to like wake up super early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, to make sure that I also had time to study after I got ready before school, studying during lunch and after school and everything. And you know, it was just a hard thing for me to learn. It was just a hard subject, you know? So I ended up failing, and they're like, oh no, you don't try. You never try. You don't try enough. If this is you trying, then this is disappointing. Like, it's so sad the fact that teachers can really talk to a kid like that. And you know, they always use that excuse like, oh yeah, but you're in high school now, I'm not gonna baby you. I'm not asking to be babied. But at the same time, if you were trying, like, if you were working your ass off in a job, right, and you were doing everything that you possibly can to get a promotion, and your boss looked at you and said, you're not good enough, you don't try hard enough, so you're just gonna be stuck there, you're not gonna get a promotion, you're probably gonna get paid worse than you were before, wouldn't that really bother you? It's literally the same thing. When it comes to school, like, school was kind of like our jobs growing up. So it was pretty much the same thing, that like, there were superiors, which were the teachers and, you know, the staff and the principal and everything, and they would basically talk down to you all the time. And as the worker, listening to the superiors all the time, you really don't want to try anymore, because it's like, oh well, if I'm trying and if I suck at trying and if I'm always messing up and they're telling me that I'm a procrastinator, that I don't work hard enough, that I'm lazy, that I'm, you know, a moron for not understanding something, then I must be all those things. So why am I even gonna bother? Why am I gonna try? Freshman year was really an eye-opener. It made me really realize that I kind of took my old school for granted, because my old school is really full of, like, you know, positive teachers, and they were always kind of pushing you to do better. And again, nobody ever babied you, but they made sure that, you know, you got your work done. They motivated you rather than bringing you down. And I always complained about the school, and I think freshman year made me realize that I really shouldn't have complained about my old school. My old school is so much better than this. It wasn't too long into freshman year that I really started hating school, and everything that was basically being told to me, basically being thrown at me, really started to eat at me. And it wasn't long before everything that these teachers were telling me and, you know, the negativity really got to me and started eating at me. And it wasn't long into my freshman year before I started getting tired, and the negativity in the whole school between the teachers and staff and everything was really starting to get at me, and it really started to kind of just eat at me, you know? Just by the end of freshman year, I ended up feeling so drained. And I'm gonna be honest, 10th grade was kind of a blur, because 10th grade was the pandemic. So I do not have to explain to you how online learning was, okay? I'm sure you already know how online learning was. I really don't have to explain it to you. 10th grade was kind of just a blur. Everything was online. You know, I was home all the time, so I was feeling pretty good about that. I feel like most people were. It was just the online learning. It was really difficult, but it was whatever. 11th grade, however, is kind of where everything started happening. You know, we had come out the pandemic. We were kind of back and forth. We were doing online, doing in person. It was kind of a mess. Everybody swore up and down that, like, we're going back to the norm and it's gonna be so much easier and so much better and whatever, but it really wasn't. I feel like it was just more confusing being, like, on and offline, and trying to still work and be consistent with your work, it was a lot. It was really difficult. And then on top of that, my anxiety got really bad out of nowhere because like I feel like I've always had anxiety, but it's always been like a normal anxiety. You know, like right before you have a test, you get a little anxious. You know, you're gonna have a presentation in front of everybody. You're gonna be a little anxious, and it was normal to feel like that, right? But all of a sudden, like my anxiety, I was panicked just sitting in the classroom waiting for the class to start. Um, and you know, walking through the hallway, I felt myself like it felt hard to breathe sometimes, and it was really weird because I never had experienced that, and I don't know where it came from. It's not like I was terrified of getting sick, like oh my god, COVID and the pandemic and the masks, and I really didn't care. But I guess something inside of me was just really anxious. You know, we had been 2 years away from school where I really didn't have to face all these rude ass fucking teachers every single day. But now we were kind of back to that. And I'm gonna be honest, teachers were a lot more harsh than they were before after the pandemic. So, you know, it just wasn't great overall. I feel like after the pandemic, everybody was kind of really wanting to socialize and, you know, get back together with groups. And when you're like brand new to a school, you don't have any friends, and you realize like, damn, I want to be with somebody. I want to like connect and I want to hang out all the time. And then to see like, you know, you come out the pandemic and everybody has somebody to talk to and you don't. It was really awkward and really uncomfortable. I felt really almost like an outcast, I guess, because everyone comes back from the pandemic, they want to be social. They had somebody there, and it really made me realize that I didn't have anybody. Like all my friends were like an hour and a half away, and we didn't really get to hang out much. So it made me really aware. I didn't have too many people to talk to, which normally like I wouldn't care. I honestly like being alone. I don't really mind being by myself, but something about seeing everybody in groups and everybody enjoying themselves all together after being 2 years away from people, it really made me realize like, damn, even if I wanted to connect with somebody like that, I can't. You know, I don't have anybody to do that. By the end of the year, I actually ended up finding out that I failed a class. I failed Algebra 2, which that took a really big toll on me because I was trying so hard the entire year to bring that grade up and to fix that, and just didn't happen. So that really took a toll on me. It really stressed me out. It made my anxiety even worse. And I don't handle stress well, I'm gonna be so honest. Like, a lot of the times when I get stressed out, I end up like snapping on people really easily. When I'm stressed, I also tend to like lose my appetite. So I was going a pretty long time forcing myself to eat because I just didn't really have the appetite to. It was a lot, and I was really stressed out at that point. On top of that whole year of like my anxiety and stressing all the time and finding out that I'm failing, finding out that I'm extremely lonely, and just, you know, the stress of everything. The worst news of that entire year was in December. I found out that a childhood friend of mine was diagnosed with leukemia, which if you don't know what leukemia is, it is a type of blood cancer. He was diagnosed in December. That already took a toll on me, knowing that he was diagnosed. But by finals week, I think that was like March, maybe. The week of finals, we actually ended up finding out that he had passed away due to leukemia. And that completely fucked me up. It was someone that I was really close to growing up. You know, he's you know, he was really into wrestling, so we would always like watch WWE together. Like early in the morning. There were times that he would come into my house like 6 o'clock in the morning so that we can watch all of wrestling before school started. my dad always like picked him up from school or like dropped him off because his mom was working. And then, his mom was a hairstylist, and besides my mom, she was the only person that I actually trusted to touch my hair. Only person allowed to dye my hair. I believe she dyed my hair purple one year, and she was the only one I felt comfortable with doing it. Same thing with like blowing it out, cutting it. She was the only like hairstylist I actually felt comfortable with. So yeah, I was really close to him, to his mom. I also knew his cousins. One of his cousins was in my grade, and me and her talked every once in a while. We weren't like super close, but I knew her. And yeah, it was just a lot, and it really sucked to find that out, and it really took a toll on me. From finding out that he was sick to, the week of finals. Needless to say, my finals were really shit. Yeah, I think the only final that I passed was my history final. Everything else was like, I didn't even care about. I didn't even study or anything. My mind was on much more important things in school, in my opinion at least. But yeah, 11th grade was full of a lot of things, a lot of challenges, both small, like my stress and my anxiety, to obviously much bigger things. And it was really difficult, and I made the choice to kind of keep everything in, and I had never really talked about it with people openly. Like, I'd always mention it, like, oh, my anxiety, and I feel really anxious, I don't know what to do, but it was never like in depth about what was going on, I guess. Which, looking back, I really wish that I would have spoken out about it and talked about it a bit more, but I, for some reason, made the decision not to, so nothing I could do about it now. But I do think that it really would have helped me and probably would have eased my mind a bit if I did talk to somebody. I ended up failing that Algebra 2 class, and they had given me the option to do it over the summer or do it in my senior year. Everyone was telling me to do it over the summer, but I'm gonna be so honest, the only reason why I didn't do it over the summer was the fact that I really wanted to take the summer to relax. Because again, that 11th grade was just really stressful and a lot mentally. So yeah, it probably was dumb to not do it over the summer since it's shorter and it's probably easier, but at the same time I really wanted to just spend the summer relaxing and kind of sticking to myself, I guess. And everyone probably thinks it's really stupid to do that, rather than just like getting that class out the way. But it was a decision I made, and honestly, it was a decision that I think I would make again. Because I do think that like my mental health is a lot more important than school or work, in the future. So I'm always gonna try and put that first, obviously. So, it was my choice, and I took it my senior year rather than doing it over the summer, and that also led to a lot of different things also. But I did it, so who cares? Senior year, I'm gonna be so honest, senior year was kind of just stressful and boring is the best way that I could put it. Yeah, it was just stressful and boring. I was really just, at this point, I was just so done with everything that I was just trying to get to graduation. It was just like, get up, get ready, go to school, come home, do whatever work that you have to get done, like homework or whatever, take a nap, eat, get ready for bed, go to sleep, and just repeat the cycle all over again. Yeah, I was done. I just was trying so hard to like push through and completely just get to graduation so I can be so done with this school. But everybody hypes up your senior year, but I feel like unless you have a group of friends that, like, you know, you can enjoy your senior year with. It's really not all of that. It's like the same as every other year, just that it's a little bit more chill. And even then, it's debatable if it's more chill. So, you know, I was just trying really hard to get the hell out of that school. I was just so done. I wanted out. I wanted out so bad. Even the stances of if I was going to graduate on time was kind of thrown up in the air. Alright? Because the whole thing started with your counselor is supposed to kind of tell you throughout the year, like, your progress, I guess, like your credits, and keep you on top of everything. Again, I never went to my counselor because she was really mean and really scary, so I never went to her. But whenever I did go to her in the past, like, she would call me down, you know, or email me, like, see me in my office, whatever. But she had never done that my senior year, and I didn't really think anything of it until the ending of third marking period, where I had gotten called down to the counselor's office, but it wasn't for my counselor, it was for a different counselor. So I went, and he was telling me the fact that my counselor wasn't there. I don't know if she wasn't there the entire school year, if she just wasn't going to be there the ending of the school year. I don't know. I don't really care either. But basically the whole thing was that she wasn't there, and that he was going to be taking over her spot for the rest of the school year, which was probably only a few weeks, so whatever. But he ended up calling me in, and he told me about all my credits and my classes and everything. And he told me that my Algebra 2 class obviously is a graduation requirement, and that I'm behind on credits in that class. And obviously I was confused because the whole school year, like, I was doing, the teacher only ever gave notes, tests, and online work, which was either done in the classroom or done at home. But the thing was that with that whole online thing, it was on a different application. So it wasn't like Google Classroom, it was like a whole different website that never notifies you, and the teacher himself never really tells you that he's posting anything, you know? So I had told my counselor that, or this new counselor, I guess, that I told him, like, yeah, you know, with that other application, I never get notifications. He never really tells us that he's posting. So I don't always check, and I'm behind on those. I'm not hugely behind, but I am behind, and I acknowledge that. But at the same time, I take my notes, I finish all my tests, classwork I do. We didn't really have projects. I think we have one project, which I did. And I told him, like, I don't understand how these few little, like, homework assignments are bringing my grades so low that all my tests and my homework, that all my tests and my classwork and all my notes are all of a sudden just being pushed aside because of these, like, little homeworks. I don't get it. And he was telling me, like, you know, you need to talk to the teachers because I don't know how that works. I'm just here to inform you, and obviously I get that. So he ended up sending me to those teachers. I had 2 teachers, which started just a whole bunch of shit. I was trying so hard to talk to them, but I'm gonna be so honest, it was like talking to toddlers. They never really let me talk. They're constantly, you know how, like, little kids, if you try and, like, talk over them, or not talk over them, but you try to talk to a little kid, and they'll try and talk over you to get your attention. So it's like you're talking, and they're like, oh, but I want this, I want to do this, I want to do this. That's essentially what they were doing. Like, I was trying to explain to them, and especially the main teacher, like, he really didn't let me talk. He was like, oh, no, but we can't do that. No, we can't open anything. No, we can't change anything. And I'm like, okay, I'm not asking to change anything. I'm just asking for, you know, either an explanation or an opportunity to change it. No, we can't do that, da-da. And it was this whole thing, and they ended up sending me back to my counselor. So I went back to my counselor, and I told him what was going on. And, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I have an IEP. So, yeah. I have an IEP, I have a learning disability, whatever. So I'm also part of the whole like child study team thing. And I believe they call them like case managers or whatever. But yeah, he told me to go to her in the child study team, to see if she can like help and talk to the teachers for me to get them to open the assignments. So I went to her, and then I ended up talking to her and the extra help teacher, who was like of no help. Okay, because I've asked her multiple times how to do things in the beginning of the year, and every time she sent me to the main teacher, so I just gave up on asking her questions. Because she seems to never know what I was talking about. So I ended up talking to the lady in the child study team and the extra help teacher, about opening assignments and kind of working with me to get some of these assignments open. And I told her like I will take the entire week of finals to do it. I don't mind. I'm not gonna have any other homework anyways. Cause she told me that the end of finals, like that Friday, was it. Like that's grades get put in and they don't get changed. So I told her, I was like, if you open these for me, I'll get them done by Friday, and that will make up the credits. And it was like 10, 15 assignments a day. But I told her, I'm like, I'm more than willing to do it. I don't do shit at home. So I am more than willing to take my time and, do it before the end of the week. And they told me that that was totally fine. They said that that was fine. That's great. They'll open it. So that was on a Friday when they had told me. So she was like, oh yeah, I'll start opening it all on the weekend. Weekend comes, nothing. I email her asking like, hey, what about the assignments, whatever. Never answers my emails. So Monday comes, and it's the first day of finals, and I see her, because I had her class, I had that algebra class before lunch. So I see them right before my lunch period, and I go up to her and I ask her like, hey, but you told me about the assignments, you said that you'd be able to open them, what happened? And again, this whole situation is just really showing just how unorganized the school was, right? So I ended up asking her like, what happened? I emailed you, you never answered my email. Like I just want to understand what happened. Why am I not seeing the assignments? She ended up telling me some really like bullshit answer as to why she can't open them. And she was like, I can't open them, it's too late. And I'm like, you didn't say that Friday, so why are you saying that now? And she was like, it's too late, it's finals week. I was like, yeah, but grades don't go into the end of finals week. And then she was like, oh, well, go talk to the main teacher. So whatever, I went to the main teacher, again talking to a toddler. He didn't let me talk. He didn't even like listen to me really. He was on the computer the whole time. I literally had to tell him at one point, like, can you look at me and acknowledge me at least? Because I was so aggravated. Everyone just kept putting me in these circles, and it's like they were telling me one thing and then telling me a complete opposite constantly. Like it was just a constant back and forth, and it was really aggravating. This main teacher that apparently was able to open all those assignments just wouldn't listen to me and was just acting like a child the whole time I talked to him, and it was just so much, and ended up going back in a whole bunch of circles. And I have to be so honest right now, I'm very thankful. My senior year, I had taken art because I had like an open spot, and they asked me what I wanted to take, so I took digital art, which wasn't the advanced art program, but I did digital art all the time, so I was like, it's gonna be an easy pass, and it was. And I'm very thankful for the art teacher because he was really chill, and I really enjoyed being in his class. And there were even times that I would go in during lunch just to like sit there during lunch and talk to him, just because he was a really chill teacher, and I really enjoyed talking with him. And I was telling him about the whole thing, like I was telling him, they're sending me back and forth, they're telling me one thing and then doing a completely different thing and whatever. So I'm very thankful for my art teacher because he ended up looking at my stuff from the entire year, for like my credits and everything and my grades. And he looked at my stuff and he was like, oh, well, you're in an extra help class, right? And I was like, yeah, it's an extra help class. So you have an IEP if you're in an extra help class. Yeah, I do. I have an IEP. And he looked at it and it said it was an F, which, wasn't a shock to me, but I didn't see the percentage. It just said F when I looked at it. And he looked at it and he was like, it says it was like 2.5 or something like that. Like, it was extremely low. It was like way past a 60. And he told me, and he was like, you know, with an IEP, they can't do that. And this is something I never even knew about an IEP. Apparently, when you have an IEP, the teachers aren't allowed to go under a certain thing. Like, you know, for regular kids, like, they can be at like 10% of their grade, but for the whole IEP, I'm not allowed to be under, like, I think he said like 60 or 65. And then he asked me, he's like, have you been doing anything in the class? And I was like, yeah, I have all my notes. And I showed him like all my notes, all my work, my projects, everything. And he was like, well, if you have all your notes and all your work and everything, you're just missing a few assignments. That really shouldn't be enough to let you fail. So, again, I never knew any of that beforehand. So I was like, okay, well, I still don't know what to do. Like, they keep telling me. And he's like, well, they can tell you whatever, but they can't do it. You know, they can say that they're going to fail you for not having an assignment done, but they really can't. So then he kind of calmed me down after that, and he was telling me like who to go to and who to talk to and what to tell them, you know, because again, I didn't really know anything about that with my whole IEP thing. So I was just kind of like a deer in headlights. Like, I was just kind of going back and forth with all these people randomly. Like, I didn't really know what I was talking about. I just knew that something wasn't right. I needed my grade fixed. But he kind of explained to me, like, yeah, but this is why you need your grade fixed, you know? So yeah, with my art teacher's help, I ended up getting it all fixed. After, you know, the most stressful 2 fucking weeks of my life of being told that I'm not gonna graduate, I am gonna graduate, there's a possibility of graduating, no chance in hell you're gonna graduate. Like, yeah, it was a lot. I was being thrown kind of everywhere, and no one was really listening to me, honestly. You know, they give me all that bullshit of like, oh, we're just trying to help and we're trying to make you understand. Again, I felt like I was just kind of talking to like toddlers when it came to the teachers and my counselor. The lady in the child study team, she couldn't do anything. You know, I know she wanted to help, but there wasn't much that she could do. And then the counselor, like, he didn't really know anything about my grades or like my classes previous years or whatever, so he couldn't really help either because he didn't know how to. And yeah, it was just a lot, and it was really stressful. And yeah, so I'm very thankful for my art teacher because with his help, I got it fixed and I actually did get to graduate on time, thankfully. But yeah, those 2 weeks were really fucking stressful. There was even a point where I came to my dad's car like bawling my eyes out, and I had told him like everything that was going on, and you know, it was just a mess. Like, I was really everywhere because of it, and it really, that whole situation really just kind of showed me like how much this school kind of fucked me up, you know, because like I just felt so defeated at that point, hearing that like, yeah, you're not gonna graduate basically, and like we're not gonna do anything to help, or we can't do anything to help. Yeah, it left me feeling like really defeated, and I didn't really know what to do after that. So it made me really realize like, man, this school really fucked me up. And the whole situation just sucked. And I'm not just talking about like the graduation fiasco. I'm talking like all of school, you know, because that was just like a stressful moment. But all of school was stressful, you know. Nobody made it easy. Nobody really tried to help. You know, and I'm speaking kind of broad here, but there were a few teachers that were like chill, really helpful, really nice. Like my art teacher, or like my senior year, my ELA teacher, history teacher, you know, like they were chill, but there were also teachers, which I'm not gonna name because I don't want to get in trouble. There were also teachers that were kind of shitty and really disrespectful and really rude for literally no reason. Because again, I never once like yelled at a teacher. I've never cursed at a teacher. I've never, you know, purposely not done work or whatever. Like, I've never done that. So I don't really know why I was really talked down on and yelled at and, you know, told really discouraging and really disrespectful things. I really don't know. I don't know why, and it really sucked. And it really just screwed with me, you know, in here. The whole school was such a negative space. Like, staff always had an attitude. Teachers were always so freaking rude. The whole thing honestly was just kind of like shocking to me. Like, you know, I've heard of like teachers, like, you know, there's always that joke that like, oh yeah, teachers, they're just there for, you know, the money and for their paid vacation. And I always thought that that was like, oh, that's a stupid joke. You know, if you're a teacher, you're around kids all the time, whether they're younger or older kids, like, you know, that's stupid. Like, they're teachers because they want to be teachers. And I don't know if I agree with that anymore. I used to really fight that comment, but like with the, at least with the teachers that I had to deal with all the time, like, it really feels like that comment was true, and it kind of sucks to know that like there was truth behind comments that I used to think were really stupid. Yeah, all 4 years of high school really messed up my mental health. And it wasn't just, you know, the work, it wasn't just going to school, it was the constant disrespect teachers would throw at kids solely for the fact that they're older, you know, the constant attitude that everybody had, the negative things that teachers would say about students, all the time. I was a kid that would always have my headphones on, but for the most part, it was just to kind of like muffle the noise around me. It wasn't really to listen to music. I would just kind of listen to everything that was going on around me, and I can't explain to you the amount of times that like teachers have said some out of pocket shit, and just some disrespectful, like, crazy stuff about kids. You know, I would literally hear teachers talking about like, oh yeah, that kid is so dumb, it's amazing that he's even gonna graduate, I bet you he's not gonna make it to college. And it's like, why would you say that? And they find comments like that so funny, but it's so weird to me that your job is to educate kids, and you literally just finished saying that he's dumb, meaning you didn't educate him properly. I don't really find what's so funny about that, but, you know, whatever. It was just a really negative space, and honestly just a really negative time for me. Again, school was just so stressful, and I feel like I kind of lost myself in everything that was happening. Okay, I was gonna wait till after to eat, but I'm like really hungry, so I made myself a like smoothie bowl, I guess. So, finally, after all the stress and all the anxiety that school brought me, after all this nonsense and back and forth on whether or not I'm gonna graduate, and after all the attitudes I had to adjust, June 22nd, I graduated out of high school, and I have never felt more relieved in my life. As of recording this video, it has been about 3 months since I graduated, and I honestly haven't felt this good since before freshman year. I've really been trying to take this time to improve on not only my mental health but also my physical health. Haven't felt any stress or any panic and anxiety at all summer. Even though I don't work, so like, obviously, I mean, I do work. I dog sit and dog walk, but I'm obsessed with animals, so obviously I'm gonna really enjoy it. I've been trying my best to work out and eat healthy, clearly, as much as possible. And on top of that, I've also really been taking care of my skin and my hair. I can tell you right now, my curls have been so much better. Yeah, I didn't really know how to take care of my curls before, or I did, but I didn't really care to. So, you know. And finally, for the first time in a really long time, I feel good about waking up every day. I get up probably around like 6 o'clock. I'll still be laying in bed but I will wake up and go on my phone and plan out my day of, things I want to do, whether it's like little things or big things. And I feel good. I feel ready for the day, even if it's freaking storming outside like it was yesterday. I feel good. I feel prepared for the day, and I feel happy, which is the most important thing to me. And I know normally after high school, everyone starts talking about college and getting part time while they're in college and everything. But I'm gonna be so honest right now. After everything that happened in school, I kind of lost that drive to want to go to college. Um, you know, when I was little, probably in like fifth or sixth grade, I remember I found two universities, two colleges that I swore up and down I was gonna be in, which was SVA and RISD. And I told myself, like, one day I'm going to go to those college, and I might still, you know, I'm 18, I can always go back next year, or in 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, or whatever. I can always go back. It's not like me not going right now is like the end all say all, I'm never going to college. But again, with everything that did happen in high school, I don't really feel the need to go back to school. And as much as I probably would have loved being in an art school, because art is my passion, I just don't feel as motivated as I was when I was in sixth grade, which sucks. The fact that that excitement to be in an art school was kind of pulled from me after being in high school. But, at first, when talking about the whole college thing, at first I was gonna force myself to go into college. But I'm gonna be so honest, I kind of feel like college just isn't for me. I don't feel as emotionally attached to it as I was when I was little. When I was little, they looked like huge art schools that I really wanted to go into, and I had to choose those schools, and if they didn't choose me, like, that was it, But I feel like now I'm kind of content with not going to college, and I just feel like it's just something that's not really meant for me, at least not right now in my life. You know, I'm gonna be so honest. I feel like I'm a very emotionally driven person. Like, if my heart isn't into whatever I'm doing 100%, then I don't feel like I should be doing it. Because like I said, art is my passion, and that is something that I absolutely love. And there are a lot of hardships that come with making art. Seeing yourself and comparing yourself to other artists, and getting different ideas and art block and all those different things. But at the end of the day, I push through because it's my passion. But while those schools are an art school, it is still school, and I still have to take other classes on top of those art classes, and I don't feel like it's really right for me. And again, that can always change. It's not the end all say all. But I want to make sure that I'm 100% into what I'm doing and 100% mentally there to be doing it. And as of right now, I don't feel like I don't feel like college is really for me, which to me, I think is fine, So, you can have your own opinions, but I really don't care, because to me, it's fine. And maybe it's a bad thing to be, so driven on my emotions or whatever, but I want to be able to go into school because I want to, not because my parents say that's a good idea, not because my friends, are in college and I want to follow them. Like, I want to be able to do it because I said I'm ready, and because I said that I want to do it. I may not do college right now. I may not do college ever, but I never know what the future holds. Maybe in a few years I'll want to go back to school, and when the time comes, I will do it, because at that time I will want to do it. So right now, my biggest thing that I want for my future, since I'm not going to be doing college, I really want to get an apprenticeship. I've been looking around for different shops that will do an apprenticeship. I'm just trying to get my portfolio together. There goes my dog. What you doing? She's very happy. So yeah, I'm just trying to get my tattoo portfolio together so that I can bring it to some shops to see if they'll allow me to do an apprenticeship there. So yeah, that's kind of just where I am right now. And again, art is my biggest passion, and I feel like tattooing would really suit me just because I have a huge interest in tattoos and body modifications to begin with. I mean, I have my freaking ears stretched, which I actually just stretched them yesterday. I made them a little bit bigger. So now I'm a 0 gauge. Yeah, I've always dyed my hair. I have a whole bunch of piercings, obviously. So I'm very much into body modifications, and I feel like being a tattoo artist would really be up my alley. So yeah, I really want to figure out how to do that, and I've given myself a deadline to try and get an apprenticeship before the next year. So I have September, October, November, December. I have 4 months to get that done, and hopefully I do. And if I don't, that's okay, but you know. Now you want out, you just want it in. Sorry, this dog is so confusing. And another thing that I really want for my future, and something that I am honestly really passionate about, which actually leads into this video, is YouTube. If you could not tell already from the rest of this video, this is my first ever YouTube video. And I'm really, really hoping it won't be my last. Depends how I feel after uploading this. Depends on how anxious I get. My whole life, I've always been really into YouTube. I grew up watching a lot of YouTubers like Lily Singh and Connor Franta, Tyler Oakley, Ryan Higa. I love Ryan Higa. Good Morning, Sam and Colby. The list can go on and on. Okay, like there's so many people that I grew up watching and I was like in love with. And I always watched these YouTubers growing up and wish that I could do videos like them. And let me just say right now, while I don't think I will be doing any skits or exploring abandoned warehouses, the idea of making videos has always taken my interest. As someone who's a really creative mind, you know, like I've mentioned so many times in this video already, I'm an artist and I'm always painting and drawing and coloring. My mind has never stopped working, you know? Like there's always new ideas coming in, always new things popping into my head, and you know, new ways to do things. And I have always wanted to kind of take another route to my creativity as an artist. I've always loved creating and I've loved making art, and I've always wanted to take videos like this and allow my creativity to kind of flow into this a lot more. And growing up, I've always had this idea in my head of like, oh, how would I be if I had my YouTube channel, and what would I upload, and what would be my demographic, I guess. You know, like what would be my fan base. And it's always been kind of on my mind of like, I want to do YouTube, I want to have my own channel. And it's something, to me, honestly, being on YouTube and making your own videos is a lot cooler than being like on TV or whatever, because I have full control over this. I can edit it however I want, I could, you know, record it however I want, do it whenever I want, and it's just so much cooler to me to have that kind of freedom with it. But I've always had this issue, and it's not only with this, but it's also just in my life, of overthinking it. I honestly don't know what it is, but I feel like my entire life I've always kind of struggled to just do things. You know, like there's people that just go out randomly because they want to. Because they say, oh, it's a nice day, let me take this opportunity and just go out. Where am I gonna go? I don't know, but let's just go out. And, you know, they'll pack their bag, they'll get dressed, and they'll just go. And they'll do whatever it is that they're gonna do. And I feel like I've always kind of struggled with just doing things. Just saying, okay, I want to do this, let's figure out how. Or I want to do this, let's go. I feel like whenever I've tried to just do things and just say, you know what, I want to do it, let's go do it, there's always been something kind of blocking me. It's like I want to go out, and I want to go out alone, or I want to record videos and, do stuff like this, but there's always just something in the back of my head that's like, nah, that's a bad idea. Don't try it. That's ridiculous. And it's so annoying because I've always listened to it. I've always listened to that voice in my head that's like, no, don't do it. It's a bad idea. It's gonna be ridiculous. You're gonna be embarrassed. Da da da. And I have to be so honest. It's probably the one thing I have always hated about myself. The fact that I can always find a way to kind of hold myself back for doing even simple things, like going out to go get lunch. I shouldn't be like contemplating my whole life just to go out and go grab some lunch. Even if I don't sit over there, like just to walk over to a place, order food, and get lunch. Why is that so difficult for me? In the same way, I want to be able to just go out and go be alone and do whatever and not really plan anything. But I always end up convincing myself that it's a bad idea and I shouldn't do it. It's the same way that I get with wanting to do things like this and make videos. Like, I have a TikTok where I just kind of show like my drawing process for everything. And it is so simple. It's literally just like 30-second videos, and it took me a good like 3 months to convince myself to just do it. And after I started doing it, I absolutely love it. I love making TikTok videos. It's so much fun showing my creative process and being able to post it. And there's times that I do videos where I just sit down and I talk to the camera, and I feel good posting on TikTok. But for some reason, after doing that for a while, I kept telling myself like, oh, I should do YouTube. It's longer, I can include more things, it'd be so much better because then I could show like my full art process. And then something's like, oh no, you can't. Like, why do I convince myself I can't do it if I'm literally doing TikTok, which is like the same thing but just a few seconds? Like, I shouldn't be having to convince myself so much into doing things. And my whole life I've always loved creating, and I love being able to make something and then show it to people and tell them like, yeah, I did all of that. I did it all on my own, no help, and I love it, and I'm so proud of it. And that's something that I've always done with my art, whether it's a painting or a digital drawing or a little animation. Like, it's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I love the process from, getting the idea all the way until it's finished and I get to show it to people. And I really want to be able to make videos and feel the same way, because like, just with my TikToks alone, like, I feel great posting the TikTok. I love coming up with the ideas, I love recording the videos, love editing it, even though editing is a really long process. I can't lie. It's very tedious, but it's fun. I enjoy it. And I love posting it, and even though I'm not like massive on TikTok or whatever, it's fun for me. It's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I really like, and I like being able to share it with other people, even if it is only a few other people. And I really hate the fact that when it comes to YouTube now, I feel like there's always this voice in the back of my head that's telling me I can't do it, that people are gonna judge it and laugh at it, that no one want to watch someone like me on YouTube. They're always gonna want to watch someone who's prettier and funnier and skinnier and more talented, more funny, more cool or whatever. And maybe that is true. Maybe they do want someone who's prettier, maybe they do want someone thinner and talented and funny. But I've come to this point that I'm like, why should that stop me? Why is it that when it comes to art, I see another artist and I'm like, wow, they're amazing, I want to get like that. But when it comes to YouTube, I'm just like, oh, well, they have millions of followers and, tons of likes. I'm never gonna be like that. And honestly, I don't even understand why I tell myself this stuff. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm not doing this because I'm looking to blow up and be mega famous or anything. I'm doing this because it's something I want to do. It's something that I would enjoy, recording videos, editing videos, and stuff like that. And it's something that I want to do. It's just something that I'm driven towards. It's just something that I want and I'm pulled towards like a magnet. Like, it's always in the back of my head that I want to do this. So why can't I just do it? I've kind of realized recently that I need to stop holding myself back, and I need to stop worrying about what everybody else is going to say about me. I've realized the fact that, I can do something in public and people will care about it for probably 5 minutes, if that, and then they'll just kind of go on with the rest of their day. Like, how many times have you seen something happen at like a mall and you always like look over and maybe you'll like laugh at it or you'll say something about it, but then right after that you're like, oh damn, I'm hungry, let's go eat, you know, you completely forget about it. Like, everybody does that. It's not like you're special and everyone's gonna be like stuck on you 24/7 because of one thing you did. It's not gonna matter, you know. And I've always had this like worry, especially, you know, if not with strangers, then with people that are close to me, about them finding me wanting to do this weird, or me wanting to start doing YouTube and put myself out there like this is odd. Ugh. But honestly, the truth is, I feel like I'm less afraid of what strangers are gonna say and more afraid of like people close to me, if they're gonna find this odd, or, you know, ask why I want to put myself out there like this. But the truth is that everyone that's like super close to me, that I really care about their opinions, is telling me to do it. My cousin, my parents, my brothers, my really close friends, I tell them about this and they're like, yeah, do it, girl, like what are you waiting for? And ugh, I don't even know what I'm waiting for, honestly. At the end of everything, like, I'm the only one that is telling me I can't do it. And when it comes to this video that I'm recording right now, I'm gonna be so honest, I don't know what shifted in my mindset. Suddenly, the want to make a YouTube channel and do videos has been on my mind a lot more than before. And I don't know what it was, but it kind of felt like something was just pulling me into this direction, if that makes sense. It's almost like something was telling me that I need to stop making excuses and I need to start doing what I'm interested in and what I want to do. Because when it comes to this video, probably 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was literally just laying in bed, like, watching YouTube. And the video that I was watching had nothing to do with making a channel, had nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But all of a sudden, I was like, I should get up and write something on my computer. And I don't know why, because I've never done that before, but I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm bored, so let's do it. You know, as I was writing, I was kind of just thinking, like, what if I just made this a video? You know, what if I finally made this my first ever YouTube video? And I talked about everything that's on here, which is, if you notice, I keep looking up, that's what I'm looking at. But I told myself, like, why not just make this the video? Everything that I'm writing down. And again, I have absolutely no clue what brought this out of me, but something did. And, you know, it was so strong that I felt like I had to kind of listen to it. Every other time that I have done something like this, that I'm like, oh, I should plan a YouTube video, da-da-da, it's always kind of been like, I start it, but then after a little bit, like, I kind of let go of it, and it's whatever. But something about this video, something about sitting down writing it and, you know, telling myself randomly that I should make this a video, something about it really stuck with me. And it's really been on my head ever since I started typing it, that, you know, when I should start recording, when I should edit it and everything. And it's been on my mind non-stop since I started writing it. And I'm gonna be so honest, like, this is probably something that's really out there for me. Because this is something that I've always wanted to do, and listen, I know it's probably not that big of a deal, but to me it feels like a big deal, because it's something I've always wanted to do, and it's something I've always told myself I can't do, and that I shouldn't do, because people are gonna judge, and people are gonna laugh, and it's gonna hurt. And, you know, that may be true, but it shouldn't stop me. I've always been the type of kid that kind of plays it safe. You know, I won't talk to somebody if they seem like they're in a bad mood. Asking teachers for help was always something that was really difficult for me, even though I really needed the help. And making new friends was really difficult as well. And I've never been that kid that's just kind of like, let's go do it, you know? Like, I want to do it, so I'm gonna do it. I've always been that kid that felt like there had to be a plan, like there had to be some sort of outline for me to follow. But, you know, when it comes to life, like, there's no outline. At the end of the day, there really is no outline, and I fully get that. So I've always kind of been one to play it safe and not, go too far out of my comfort zone. And I full-heartedly believe that there is just something inside of me that really doesn't want to live her life like that anymore. Like I said, this whole video idea and wanting to come up with a video wasn't like something that I had planned for months and months. It just popped up in my head. Let's write something. Oh, well, now that it's written down, maybe I should record it. Why not? And here I am just recording it, randomly on a Monday. And I really don't know what convinced me to do that. It just happened. It just came into my head and it wasn't leaving. And there's something that like my parents always told me growing up, which I'm sure you have heard of. But there's this saying that everything happens for a reason. Everything that you do within your day, within your week, within your life, it's not an accident. There's always a reason for it, and it's always gonna cause something. And I don't know what the hell could have caused this random mindset change. Could have literally just been because I was bored, but I feel the momentum now, and I feel the drive and the want to be different. And something in me is just telling me I can't let that slip away. And maybe I'm being overdramatic and over the top. Maybe I'm being even delusional. But I feel like there's just something inside of me that is begging for change. And for the first time in my life, I don't think it's a bad idea. And whenever I'm always talking to somebody about starting this YouTube channel, or whenever I watch videos on how to make YouTube videos and everything, the first thing that they always ask is why. What is the purpose for wanting to make videos? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to put yourself out there like that? And in all honesty, I feel like this is my why. My why is because I want to change. And I want to commit to things I want to do because I want to do it. And honestly, I feel like the sudden want and desire to hunker down and start a YouTube channel and be fully dedicated to it and take it seriously is something that I can't step back from. I feel like it's going to be a good start to being able to... I feel like it's going to be a good start to be different and to live my life in the way that I want to live it. And don't get me wrong, it is still absolutely terrifying, okay? I've been recording since 11 o'clock. It is now 2:30. Yeah, and I don't know if any of this is gonna come out right. I don't know if I'm gonna have to record it again, because like I said in the beginning, I've already recorded this 3 times on that camera. And I don't know how it's gonna turn out, and I don't know if anyone's gonna like it. I don't know if anyone's gonna see it. I don't know if it's gonna be worth my time. But even still, I really want to do it. And I'm really driven and I'm really passionate to do it. And I feel like for now on I'm gonna try to listen to that. So I purposely made this my very first video because I've always felt like in order to change and grow into somebody new, you have to look at your past and you have to acknowledge the things that's happened that has made you grow into the person that you are. Everything that I've said in this video I have held back since freshman year. I just really wanted to let it out. I wanted to finally take it out of my head and put it out there so that I don't have to deal with it anymore. And I really wanted to just get it out of my head so that I can start a new journey and a new path. I'm sure there are tons of people who had a high school experience like me who didn't have a lot of friends. School brought them a lot of stress. School fucked up their mental health. Their anxiety probably skyrocketed out of nowhere, and all they're looking for now is change. And it's so interesting because every time that I've talked to somebody about the things that I've talked about in this video, even if I just briefly mention it, their way of trying to pick you up and make you feel better is there's other people out there that have it worse. And while that is true, it never really helps. Anything, it just always made me feel like shit, the fact that I'm complaining when, there's people that have it worse than me. And I've always hated that comment. The whole, people have it worse than you shouldn't be complaining. So I started telling myself something that honestly I feel like is a lot more motivating and a lot more calming than that comment. And I basically just tell myself that somewhere in this world or in this universe, there is somebody just like me. There's somebody that has struggled the same way that I've struggled, who has the same ideology as me, the same beliefs, and the same feelings that I feel right now. And they get it. And there's just something about that that just feels a lot more calming and feels like it's gonna be alright. I feel like that's what you need to tell people rather than there's people that have it worse, stop complaining. So with this channel, I really want to make a space where I am not the only one that feels comfortable, but whoever's watching feels comfortable as well. So my plan and my vision for this channel is that I want to make a lot of art videos, but I also want to make videos like this where I just sit down and talk and, you know, vent, I guess. I just want it to be a space where not only I feel comfortable, but, you know, whoever's watching feels comfortable and feels like they are understood. So with all that being said, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Maybe you can relate, maybe you can't, but either way I hope you enjoyed it. Since this is my very first video, I can't really say to check out my other videos to see if you like me and you want to follow. But I do have everything planned out for my next video, which is going to be the beginning of a series. So if you're interested, that's going to be a drawing series. So if you are interested or even a little bit intrigued by that, maybe you don't have to follow me or anything, but you know, keep me in mind and check it out when it's out, whenever it's gonna be out. So yeah, I've been talking for a really long time, so I'm gonna end it here and I'm going to enjoy and finish my smoothie bowl. So once again, thank you for watching and I hope to see you soon, and if I do not, I hope you have a good life. So with all that being said, my name is Leilani, but again, you can just call me Lay, and I am hitting the record button now. Nice.